Good Monday morning, everyone. Oh my goodness, do we have stories for you today? One, it's become dry somewhat here in Texas, so we're all suffering from allergies. So if I sound nasally, you guys just let it go, okay? Just let it go. It's that time of year. But you guys listen to Author Talk with me, Aimee, Russell, Valerie, and our lovely author guest today is Paula. So you guys, the weekend, I'm going to recap my week actually for you, not really my weekend. Russell, you can yell at me if you want to. My mother came in town. So last week after Author
Did you
Talk,
fire her again?
I actually did. I fired her
Paula,
from
she
being my
has
mom.
fired her mother twice. Can
No,
you
it's
believe
it's
it?
way it's way more than twice. So my mom used to work for me, Paula. I feel like this is fair to say. Now there's backstory, but anyways, my mother came to visit me after Author Talk. I took off and went to Bastrop and picked my mom up, and she hung out with me. You guys know Josh was out of town, and she wanted to come see her grandkids, so she came and hung out with me. And it was whirlwind of shopping at Joann's and everything, and fabric galore, which I absolutely love. And Josh came back and did all that. But backstory, Paula, my mom used to work for me, and I would always just give my mom hell because it's my mom, and it's funny. It's how it's our love language, how we communicate. So I would always just tell her she was fired until one day she just stopped working. She actually took me seriously and stopped working. But no, I can't fire her from work anymore. So I did fire her the other day from my mom. She agreed with my husband on something. And so then therefore I fired her as my mom. I said, "You are no longer my mother. I have fired her." But no, it's been a lot of fun. Meadow has a field trip this week, you guys. And I don't know if I've been selected as a chaperone.
Is
I,
the PTA still not talking to you?
they're still so
Paula, the
mad at me.
PTA quit talking to
Oh,
her.
yeah. They're really upset with me because I wanted to have a nacho bar for my daughters. I'm homeroom mom. I'm one of them. And they
I
got
told you
upset with
not to do
me.
that.
Josh put me down. Hey, it was not me. Josh put my name down as homeroom mom, thinking that I wasn't going to get selected, and he was because he put both of them. I'm like, there's no homeroom dads. There's just moms. But whatever. So it ended up doing this whole thing, and I wanted to have a nacho bar for my daughter's fall festival that they were doing in their room. And I was like, oh, cool. Like it backs up to lunch. No problem. No nothing. And then I get a really upset email that I am not allowed to do that. And we all have to be fair and do the same thing. And that's just not my style. I tend to ruffle feathers sometimes where I go. I tend to ruffle feathers and I'm okay with it. If I'm not ruffling somebody's feathers, I don't feel like I really showed up to any kind of event, to be
PTAs are
honest.
like HOAs.
Yes.
They're like they
Yes.
are. They're absolute bullshit.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. That's exactly how I feel. And it was almost as if I had just pissed in the wrong person's Cheerios. And so that's generally kind of what happened. And so now they, choose not to talk to me, but I did have to go to the parent teacher conference. And Russell, you're going to love this.
Oh
Okay.
my god.
I went to a parent teacher conference, my first one ever. So, Paula, my oldest is in kindergarten. My kids are 13 months apart. And
Okay.
I went to my parent teacher conference. And I called out this whole situation about this party because it could have just been an email between me and the teacher and we could have addressed it and fixed it, right? You would think this is how those things would work. But, anyways, so I let her know that if she got in trouble, I'm sorry, and I hope she didn't get the email in which I got. Of course, she didn't. And I was very much like, well, I did get a very nasty email. And don't worry, we won't be having that kind of party at all. It'll just be little knickknacks and stuff. So you guys know me. I can't do that. So I am making a Halloween charcuterie board. I'm making two of them for this class because if I can't have a nacho bar, I'm going to just do what I want to do anyways. So we're going to have two charcuterie boards and like glove filled with popcorn to make witches' hands. I got some crafts going, and everyone else is just going to do like the hacky sack kind of play. We're going to do musical chairs because I feel like that's like what you should do. You can play like the kid Halloween music and do all that. So, needless to say, I'm just going to go against the grain more and upset these people even more. And I told the teacher that, and they just all kind of went silent. But again, if I don't ruffle feathers, I didn't really come to an event.
Well, the
So,
person that sent you the email, would they have ever said any of that like to your face?
no,
There you
no,
go. There you
yeah,
go. You're real
yeah.
brave behind that computer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
See, and I'm very much like, if they were on here, I would do it in a very nice manner. Russell knows me, but I would get my point across. So last week was really of interest, you guys, really of interest. Super fun. The highlight of my weekend is I went to Costco. Okay. And they have Christmas stuff out, and that got me in trouble. Let's just be honest. So, what all did you guys do this weekend? I hope you guys ruffled some feathers or had some kind of adventure, because I love that. So, who wants to talk about their weekend first? Russell.
Okay, I'll talk about it. No, I think Paula's ready, and I like a guest that's ready to talk first.
Go
So go,
for it,
Paula.
Paula.
I was just gonna say, I mean, I'll be your huckleberry. So my husband and I just returned from a really interesting vacation. We went to Mexico to this resort called the One and Only, and
Okay.
it's in a part of Mexico called Mandarina, and it's in the jungle. Okay. And I really, really underestimated the being in the jungle. I don't really know what I was thinking, but the resort brands it as an uninterrupted experience with nature. Well, what they don't tell you is you are face to face with wildlife, and it was a very interesting vacation to say the least, and it took me way out of my comfort zone. And so, and I can't say I ever want to go back to the jungle. I think it's best that I just like love the wildlife from afar, and I'm not meant to be immersed in it. So, speaking of mothers, my mother house sat while we were gone. And when we got back, she hadn't given my older Pickaninnies his eye drops, and he developed dry eye and caused his cornea to be ulcerated, which can rupture, like it turns into a thing. And so I fired my mother as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, you don't give him his drops the way you're supposed to. And she argues me low down that she does, and she doesn't. And so now it's this whole thing. And so we just got back a few days ago. And so going into this weekend, I really wasn't a restful weekend. I did a podcast guest appearance on Saturday morning. And then yesterday, my family came in and we went to the Jack-o'-lantern Spectacular here in Louisville, which is pretty cool. It's like this display of 5,000 decorated pumpkins in the forest, and it's really cool. So past few days for me have been a little busy.
Yeah. It sounds
Yes.
it. But
Yeah.
you fired your mom. So, hey, I can relate to you. I understand.
Yeah, he went back home a few days ago, and so I'm in my space, and she's in her space now.
Yeah. No. That jungle experience, though, does sound kind of nice, but I don't know about, I guess being face to face with certain animals wouldn't be fun. But
when she said wildlife, what kind of wildlife were you face to face with?
Have you ever heard of coatis?
No.
I don't know.
So they're Mexican raccoons.
Oh, that doesn't sound fun.
Well, they're not afraid of humans, and they don't like humans.
Yeah, that's why that doesn't sound fun. That sounds awful.
Well, the resort totally downplays this. And keep in mind that this is a resort that it's going to cost you $5 per minute to just breathe.
Okay. Yeah. So they need to be honest with you. Okay.
They should have told me. And so they told us about the coatis on our way to our villa. And he's like, do not pet the coatis. Do not feed them. You have to keep your villa locked. They will break in.
My gosh.
And then he says, and I'm like, what? And then he says, but they serve a great purpose here in Mandarina because they take care of the snake and the spider problem because they are immune to the venom. And I was like,
okay.
huh. So we got there at night, like we got there late at night. And then so the next morning, I couldn't see anything when we got there. You know, it was all dark. And so the next morning I wake up and I run and I open up the curtains because I want to see this fabulous view from this villa. And I'm like, oh my God, this is beautiful. Well, as I'm standing there with the door open to our villa, here come the coatis. And they travel in a pack.
Oh,
And I was like, oh, well, these is what these little Mexican raccoons are talking about. We know most animals, when they see you, they'll scatter, right? Not the coatis.
oh,
And so morning one, I got in my first standoff with these coatis. And I was like, oh, well, hey, what are you doing? You know, being my typical self with an animal. Well, this coati, just dead eye contact, like the stare that they have makes you very uncomfortable, and they don't break it. He came walking right up the steps, and I was like, oh God, he's legit going to come in here. And the doors to the villa were really heavy.
uh-huh.
And so I'm trying to get them closed, and it's like hard to get them closed. And I get them closed like in the nick of time. And that little coati continued to try to break in. He was not afraid of me. I saw right then and there what I was dealing with. Then they would stand at the steps like they didn't want me to pass by them. And that's
Uh-huh.
all week. And so I did not enjoy being with those coatis. And then
So
another
you got bullied by them. So what it sounds like they bullied you.
total bullies.
They were
And
intimidating.
Yeah.
yes, and the villas are so expensive, and so one of the like most attractive features is to open them up so you can let the air in and hear the ocean and all that jazz. Well, you can't do
Right.
that. You can't do that. They break in your room, and they're after sugar. They told us they're after these little sugar packets, and they know where they are in the rooms. And
Oh,
so
okay.
they're relentless. They don't stop. They don't stop. You can't eat out on your beautiful balcony or your patio because of those coatis, and that's something the resort does not tell you until you get there.
Oh, well, yeah, I wouldn't want to be spending that kind of money to be bullied. You know, like
No,
No.
that's not a fun time.
Yeah,
no,
Aimee can stay home and let the PTA bully her.
They could try. They
And then
could
you can't
try.
even relax. You can't even relax on your vacation.
Yeah, that's sad.
it's not like I
Yeah.
had to watch my back like the
Yeah.
entire time that I was there. And there were these little crabs that crawled all over the floor in this villa. Crabs everywhere.
Hmm.
And so that may not bother some people, but it bothered me.
Oh, I don't want to get out of bed and get bit by a crab. That would bother me.
No,
Probably more so
Or
than the
step on a
monkeys.
crab.
Yeah.
no, right. And they kind of, blend in. They've got a camouflage in with the floor. And so
Oh no.
you have to watch your back. I mean, the whole time, I felt like I had to watch
You're
my
on,
back.
Is it
yeah,
just
you're on
like a
edge.
seasonal thing? Or is it
Okay,
like
I like
all the
that
time?
story. That story
Yeah.
makes me happy. Paula, that's a funny, good story. I like it.
Going. It was crazy. It was crazy. And we love this resort line. Like we went to their place in Palmilla 2 years ago, and it's just next level. It's magnificent. It's just these resorts are next level. They're magnificent. They're luxurious. And so we went into this with really high expectations, and it was like an emotional roller coaster in this place.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
crazy. And on our
Mhm.
way out of there, the guy that, thank God I didn't have this conversation with him in the beginning of the vacation, but on our way back to the airport to go home, our shuttle driver's like, did you see any big cats? I said, what do you mean? Did I see any big cats? And he said, oh, there's jaguars everywhere. And I was like, oh okay.
Oh
Uh,
my God. Like,
okay.
no.
You're not feeling so bad about the other animals.
No, because all the other ones, not that I recommend drop kicking any animal. Okay, I'm not going to say that. But I feel like just being who I am, it's kind of like it's not okay. I'm not a writer, so I'm not good with words. But it's kind of like, when you go to the ghetto, you want to come off as intimidating so they don't mess with you. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like with the monkeys, you can just pretend to drop kick them and maybe they would go away. But you can't do that with a jaguar because they will straight up just kill you with like one paw. And no, because they will outrun you. So what are you supposed to do? Like, what
You're
do
done.
you do? Oh man, that's terrible.
Yeah.
It sounds beautiful, but then when you have all these animals, it does not sound fun anymore.
Oh, you have no idea how beautiful this place was. And we had this small, like a bathing pool back on our back patio.
Mm-hmm.
And I was out there one night, and this was like, I think maybe day 2, and I still hadn't gotten the big picture with how much was around me. I'd gotten a taste of it, but was still being naive. And I was in the water, and my husband was inside the villa. So I was out there by myself, and I look over, and there the coatis were right there staring at me. It was a constant standoff. And
Yeah.
and I screamed. They didn't move. They didn't budge.
Oh no. See,
Mhm.
no. That sounds, to be honest, that sounds right up Russell's alley. I'm not even gonna lie, but I can just picture
Yeah,
like
this
Russell
story makes me
going.
happy.
Yeah, like I can just see him going and he would love that. Like, I don't know, but that's just his personality. And so this whole time I'm like, man, I'm like, this sounds terrible to me, but Russell would love this.
I would love that.
A lot of people would. And I asked a few. This sounds so pretentious, but I asked one of our butlers. I said, "Will these coatis will they attack me if I walk past?" Or he said, "Oh no, they won't, they won't." Well, then this other guy's like, "They lied to you. They lied to you. They
Man.
will attack you. They will attack you." And I'm like, "Well, who do I believe?" And so I just got to the point that I was steering clear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, Russell would thrive in that kind of environment. That is a Russell
Yeah,
environment.
take a water gun with me and shoot them.
Yeah, he would.
Like when
That's a good idea.
like you carry a water gun with you, you know, one of those power water guns. When you
Yeah.
run,
That's a
Mhm.
if
good
there's too
idea.
many dogs in the neighborhood, you just shoot the dogs with the water gun.
Yeah. If I would have had my mace or my little taser, but I can't get that to Mexico, then I would have felt a little more secure. But I had nothing. I mean, I'm just there. It's
Yeah.
so many of them everywhere.
Oh man.
Are they the same size as a raccoon? Like big, thick, like that?
Bigger.
No, they're not cute like the raccoons we
Are
have.
they big? Are they like the same
They're
size?
kind of the same size. Their tail kind of looks more like a cat. And some of them were, I mean, they all looked like they were eating pretty well. I didn't see any, they didn't look scrawny. I mean, they all look pretty plump. But a little longer body, like tail more like a cat, and this pointed nose. They got this pointed nose. So they don't really look like our raccoons.
Interesting.
They're
I've
not
learned something new today. I did not know
Yes.
about these at all.
Don't go on vacation here. Just look at pictures.
Russell will go. Russell's gonna go.
Russell may
Russell,
in arena. He may love it. I'm telling you, the
yeah.
wildlife is there, and their spiders are this big,
Oh no.
around, and they're kind of everywhere too. There was one on my wall.
You're muted, Russell. You muted yourself and
I said I've got those in the forest above me and behind me.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Georgia's like a spider place. It's creepy.
Oh, okay, wait a minute. Okay. Maybe this is because I'm the youngest person on this show and I didn't know this.
Yeah, you're
But
12.
anyways. Okay, so one, I had never seen I'm just gonna ignore you. I've never seen a black widow ever in my life. Okay, I'm 32. I bought this new house. I see plenty of them because it's like all green, right? The wolf spiders that I've seen have been like, itty bitty. Oh my God. When I moved here, the wolf spiders, and I'm not joking, I have photos, so I have receipts and facts. Okay. The wolf spiders were like this big, like their body, not even their legs. Have you ever seen that? Because I have not. And I was wigging out when they were in my garage or on my house. I was like, oh my God, I've moved to Australia with the massive bugs. Like I could not handle that. And that sounds really millennial, and I'm sorry, but I am a millennial, so I have to kind of, sometimes I associate with my generation. Okay, not a lot, but sometimes.
No, I want no part of that. I don't know that I know what a wolf spider is. Are they poisonous?
No, they're the ones that eat all the bad things. So you really do want them. They're like the black and brown spider. You really do like want them, but I don't. So I've learned a lot in this new house. We've had massive spiders and scorpions, all kinds of fun stuff. Okay, but nothing like you had at your resort. That does not sound fun at all.
No.
No. Well,
No, you're there in the last.
Russell, what did you do this weekend?
There's a truck coming up the mountain, so you need to let Valerie talk next.
Okay. Yes. So yeah,
All right, Valerie, you talk. I gotta run and get my computer charger because it's dying.
Okay. Yeah. Nothing really super exciting. We went to the beach house and just taking advantage of the cooler weather and the super high tide when you have to move up all the way to the dunes. You're just like, but no, we were just kind of taking a breath because I had an extremely busy week last week, and this week is going to be more because my mom is in town, my brother's in town. We're all helping to get her moved
You
from
should
her
have said
house.
no when they called and asked to come.
It's
Just
okay.
say no.
I haven't seen my brother in a while, so but the beach was good, and we just did a little winter maintenance already, starting on the house. So when you're doing that, you get in the zone. We had the doors open the whole time, so Paul, I can totally really just having the doors open, just letting all the breeze blow in. But it was good, nice, relaxing weekend, just ready to get back to work. How about you, Russell?
Okay, I have 3 things.
Ooh.
The first thing is something bad about me. As Aimee knows, I don't play well with others. I'm not a joiner. I don't join groups. I don't play well with others. That's why I was a divorce attorney all my career.
For Russell, there is an I in team for Russell.
No. Yeah. But
Yeah. It's just him.
There's a
He
me
is his
too,
own
but I
team.
don't care about that. So here's the thing. So I have, just like Paula, I've been on a couple of podcasts, including a panel this week. And I must say, I thought I was at the dentist. It was awful.
Oh no!
And
Like
Paula, you're
pulling
laughing because
teeth.
you know what I'm talking about. Oh my gosh. And I was
terrible.
just dying to make comments. And you don't do that when you're trying to sell your book. You just, it was horrible. The second thing is my book's coming, Murder by Storm, is coming out tomorrow. You can start buying it tomorrow. I'm very excited. On all Paula, my book is a murder thriller during a hurricane. So in Georgia, and all these podcasts I've been doing over here, all they want to do is talk about podcasts. I'm doing a little live shoot on Book Fest next week. That's what we're talking about is hurricanes. That's what people want to talk about, and how do hurricanes wash away evidence, which is kind of one of the reasons that my murders take place during a hurricane.
I love it.
So that's going on. And I'm laughing about the dog stories you guys are telling. We lost our dog a few months ago, and we were talking about replacing it. My wife was ready to go get a little dog this weekend, and I told her, no, I don't want any more squirrels. And she was mad at me all day.
Russell, you need a Chihuahua in your life.
I don't need any squirrels or rats.
Now listen.
I want a dog.
Okay, now listen. Okay, because I have had 2 Chihuahuas. I've had an Applehead, and I have a half Jack Russell Chihuahua. Okay, now listen.
That was a rat.
I also have a pit bull. Okay, and my Chihuahua was more of a damn pit bull than my pit bull. My pit bull, when like Josh play hits me, right? My Chihuahua would be like at Josh's throat, ready to attack him. My pit bull runs and gets in his cage. Okay, so I'm just saying, sometimes the smaller the dog, the more terrifying they are. You need a little lap dog.
A rat is not terrifying. Anyway, so that was my weekend. I'm very excited about tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow's going to be great.
I'm very excited for you.
I need to thank the people listening to us. Most people don't watch us, Paula, on Monday morning when we're live. They listen to our podcast all week. We're top 10 independent book podcasts in America. We're very grateful about it. I could never find us for like the first year we were on podcasts because there's so many of them. Mm-hmm. And then Aimee did some kind of internet magic, and all of a sudden, boom, it's easy to find us. Aimee, where do people find us on our podcast?
Well, now that Russell's called me magical, I'm going to bask in this moment. I've been called magical.
Absolutely.
Oh my goodness. No, so you guys can find us anywhere that you listen to podcasts. So I listen on Amazon Music, Spotify. If you are an Apple user, you can listen to us on iTunes. If you're an Android user like me, Google Play will also have it. Good Pods has it. You can also come over and watch our replays or watch us live if you want to on our YouTube channel or our Facebook page, or you can follow any one of us. We are public pages. You can come and check out everything that we have going on in between the shows. So if you want to see photos of our crazy weeks and adventures that we do, you can always go over there and follow us and hang out with us over there. We do like engaging with you when you leave us comments and you want questions answered. We try to do that. But yeah, you guys, 9 years in January. Oh my goodness. It's been a lot of fun. If you want to see how we have evolved from our very first episode down at Russell's place in Houston when he lived here, you can go over to our YouTube channel and you can see every single one that we have done. We do not miss Mondays by any means. Even if Christmas falls on a Monday, we pre-record and have it go out. We don't miss a Monday at all. But with that being said, Valerie, let's get Paula talking about her book.
Absolutely. So Paula, it looks like your book just came out in August. Can you tell us a little bit about Thought Snob, please?
Sure. So it launched on August 11th. Mm-hmm. And this is it, Thought Snob, the modern spiritual playbook for a better life. And it's an idea that I had. Thought Snob came from something that all the people around me called me when I decided that maybe I just wanted a little bit better than what I'd settled for the first 3 decades of my life. And all the people around me, well, they didn't really like that version of me because I wasn't allowing them to steal my energy and, push boundaries and all the joyful things that toxic people do. And so they called me a stuck-up snob. And I started thinking about that. And I started thinking about something that and keep in mind, I was raised in a rural poverty pocket. And I thought about something that my father always said to me. And any time that I talked about wanting better or talked about wanting to travel abroad or have luxurious things, I was always a big dreamer. And anytime I talked about those dreams, he would shoot me down in 2 seconds with one comment. He'd say, "Girl, you're getting above your raising." Well, okay. And so you hear that and you hear that and you hear that. And then you start to believe, well, oh God, I'm not supposed to want more. I'm not supposed to want better. And so then you find yourself settling for what you don't want, and then you never get what you want. Then there you are living kind of like a hell on earth, type of existence. And I thought about them calling me a stuck-up snob. And everything in my book is basically about rewiring your brain and thinking the opposite of everything that you were socialized and to believe about yourself, and get rid of the opinions and look at the facts. And so SNOB stands for, it's actually an acronym, and it stands for See New Objective Beliefs. And it's the opposite of what I call myself in the first 3 decades of my life. I refer to myself as a thought slob, and slob stands for self-loathing overrides better. Because when you consistently settle for what you don't want, and you go against your intuition, and you work in jobs you hate, and you sacrifice your dreams to make someone else wealthy, you stay in abusive relationships thinking that there's nothing else out there for you, you settle for scarcity when you really want wealth, what that really boils down to is your self-loathing, and you choose that self-loathing over anything better for yourself. Mm-hmm. And the whole book is based on that concept. And I'm 47 years old and started my self-empowerment or spiritual journey, whatever you want to call it, when I was about 28 or 29, and I was a bit clueless about what I was doing, and I really muddled my way through it. And I read so many self-help books, so many. There's no telling how many self-help books that I read. And they were all great, and they changed my life. I always tell people, never underestimate the power of a self-help book, because when you don't have any money and you don't have any support, you don't have any real resources, well, go get a self-help book. That might get you somewhere. Okay. So I was just thinking through all of this, and I thought about one thing that those books did not have, and there wasn't a humorous component. They weren't entertaining. It was straight facts, great information, a lot of wisdom. But when you're taking that journey and you're doing this, inner travel, and you're facing things, you're admitting things, you're reflecting on your emotions and releasing trauma and all of that, it can get pretty deep, and you can start to lack self-compassion for yourself. And so my book combines science with the teaching methods and then humor. There are a lot of relatable stories in my book, and they complement the teachings. And so just when you were getting into, maybe a little hole of like, oh, this is getting deep, this might be getting to be too much, then I lighten the mood with the humor. And the book comes in 3 formats. It's Kindle, paperback, and audiobook. And I narrated the audiobook, which was hysterical. But the audiobook has 6 bonus stories that the book doesn't have.
And then also you have the background to just really, help people, because all of your you have your master's degree, your bachelor's degree, all these things. You're with being a meditation instructor, a life coach. Tell me a little bit about how did all of this happen, because you took that journey yourself to become your best self, basically.
No, not at all. I mean, if I had finished high school, I would have been voted most unlikely to become a spiritual gangster. Okay. I'd never anticipated going down this path at all. Growing up, nobody said, hey, why don't you just use your thoughts to create your reality? Yeah, nobody said that. So this was totally unfamiliar territory for me. And so I dropped out of high school, went to beauty school, okay, and then decided to go to college at 25. And my bachelor's degree is actually in political science for whatever reason. And then I have a master's in public administration. And so that work took me into the nonprofit world, and I was in fundraising for many, many years. I raised $60 million for nonprofits, had a remarkable run. And in May of 2021, I decided to act on that burning desire that I'd always had. And that was to kind of return the favor, I guess, to all the authors that helped me transform my entire life. And when Wayne Dyer came into my world, it changed the trajectory of my whole life. So when I decided to get into this line of work, I didn't have any real credentials to back me. And I knew I needed that. And I decided to enroll in the Chopra Center, which is Dr. Deepak Chopra's school. And he and his team, they were my professors for a few years. And I walked out of there with 3 certifications. I wrapped all of those up in May of this year, May 2024. I think I completed all of them. And so I was certified in meditation, and then Ayurveda, and then the total well-being life coach program. I also completed that. So those credentials are most relevant to what I'm doing now.
And how did that help you produce this book?
Some of the teachings that I learned from Deepak are kind of guided the lessons that I designed. Some of them are a hybrid of what I learned from him and then my own ideas. So I'm certified in primordial sound meditation, which is a very sophisticated meditation practice, and you have to be trained, and you receive your own personal mantra to use. It's a Sanskrit mantra. It's a silent mantra. And in the book, I include a version of that meditation just to give you an example of how the Chopra teachings trickle down into the book. I include a meditation in the book that you can use. It's a form of primordial sound meditation. You just don't have your own, personal mantra. So that's in the book. Some Ayurveda teachings are in the book as well. But most of it is my original stuff. Just some of it is combined with what I learned from Deepak and all of his genius people.
And I love that you're exposing readers to just all these different journeys that they can take. Do you feel like have you? I guess it's too soon yet to have any feedback yet, but what do you hope that people take away from it?
If there is one thing, so I have to say this first. A lot of the book is rooted in conscious creation, and I prefer that term over manifestation because social media has turned manifestation into something gimmicky, trendy. A lot of people are on there talking about stuff, claiming to be experts, and they aren't, and they're promising people the moon. And people think they can just jump in and manifest something without doing anything, and it sets them up for failure, and they become very frustrated. We're always manifesting. It's a natural thing, but it can work for us or against us if we don't know what we're doing. And so conscious creation, that's the term I use. And so the book is really rooted in that. It is really difficult for a person to be successful with conscious creation if they don't have control of their emotions. And in the first 3 decades of my life, I was someone who had zero emotional intelligence. I'm telling you, zero. I would fall apart over anything because I had been taught to react. I was supposed to get mad. I was supposed to get offended. If someone cut me off in traffic, that was supposed to ruin my day. I mean, that was how I thought. And it created a really, really, really bad physical reality for me. So the one thing that I want people to take away from the book is increasing and strengthening their emotional intelligence, because when you have a high level of emotional intelligence, you can conquer the world. It's all about how you react, but it starts with an awareness. And so those two things, that's what I really, really want people to take home from the book. And I teach you how to do it. It's developing an awareness, and that's like the foundation of all change. Once you become more self-aware and you realize what's going on and why it's going on, then you can start working to increase that emotional intelligence. And that's something that meditation will absolutely help people with. And that's why meditation is part of the teaching in the book.
And I think, Russell, you had some questions about the meditation.
I have like 50 questions. So, but I have to start with this is, what are the first couple of steps of taking control of your own emotion? That's my first question. What are the first couple of steps?
The first couple of steps is to become aware.
So what does aware mean?
Well, so self-awareness is a bit of a rare quality with some people. And if not everybody was raised like me, but if you were raised like me, or you were raised in an environment that encouraged disempowerment above empowerment, then you may have developed a bit of a victim mentality and blaming. Well, I'm not as successful as I want to be because so-and-so did this. And when you approach life like that and your role in it, you're not really ever going to get anywhere. And that's a prime example of operating with a low level of emotional intelligence. And if you're blaming everybody around you, then you're probably staying pissed off all the time. And then that frustration leads to creating things that you just don't want. And it's just becoming aware that you're actually the person in the driver's seat. Like, you're the person that's creating all of this through your thoughts, your words, your actions, and all of your behaviors, just how you feel in general. And no one taught me this. Nobody ever taught me that. Nobody ever taught me how my emotions influenced my entire physiology. I used to stay sick all the time, and I expected to get sick. Once I developed an awareness of what I was doing, well, I was able to correct it. So that's really the first step. I mean, it's that awareness. It's the absolute foundation of all change. And when you become aware of your role in, maybe your life not being the way that you want it to be, then you can start moving on to all the other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you do that?
Well, you have to do a lot of admitting. And the way that I got started was I admitted how many people that I was harboring resentment towards. And I was, again, in my late 20s, and I was sitting in my bedroom and I made this big list of all these people that I hated, right? And I go down this list, and as I'm working through and I'm revisiting why I'm mad at all these people, why I'm harboring all of this resentment, I become aware that maybe I played a little bit of a role in each situation. And so I wasn't on that list to begin with. But by the time that I was done thinking through it, I was number one. And so admitting was the first thing that I did. And I walk people through that in the book, that you don't have to start there, but it certainly is a good spot to start. Own it. Just own it. And when you do that, then you're able to move on, because then you develop empathy. Even if you don't realize it, you're developing empathy for situations, you're developing empathy for other people. And that's the only way that I was able to forgive a few people on that list, was through empathy. And I thought about, okay, what do I know about their upbringing? What do I know about them? And I was able to just see them as me, and it made it a lot easier to let go that death grip that I had on all of that anger. But the very first step was becoming aware of my role in it, admitting it, owning it, and showing some compassion for myself and all of the other people. And until you can forgive people and forgive yourself, and it's something that you got to do every day. I mean, none of us are finished products. But when you can do that, it's a game changer. It's a total game changer. And when you do not harbor anger and resentment towards people, and you operate that way, and you operate with empathy and compassion, then your awareness is way up here, and you're operating with emotional intelligence, and you're not reacting at everything. You're more observing. And it's a process. It took me, I would say, 10 years to work through all of that. It wasn't something that I did in a day. It took a long time.
So my last question, because I've run out of time, I can't ask you the other 48 questions I have. So does your personal meditation chant, is it Sanskrit?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a silent mantra. So the primordial sound meditation, they're all based on a silent Sanskrit mantra, and it's a sound. It doesn't necessarily have a meaning. The mantras don't necessarily have a meaning. It's just a sound. And there are 108 sounds, and they're based on the lunar cycle. And so what we do is we take a person's date of birth, time of birth, and place of birth, geographically speaking, and we use Vedic mathematics. We use a calculator, plug that information in there, and we can find out the corresponding sound that the universe was making when that person was born. And that's your mantra. That's your sound. So it's a really sophisticated meditation practice. But, I tell people, meditation doesn't have to be rigid. You don't have to do it a certain way. You don't have to sit a certain way. You sure as hell don't even want to try to stop your thoughts. That's not possible. There's no need. But the more you meditate, those racing thoughts will eventually subside, because when you meditate, you're interrupting them. You're training your brain to, not go there. And the more you do it, then the less of a problem you have with that. But you have to find a meditation practice that you really like. It's like exercise. If you're doing an exercise you don't like, you're probably not going to stick with it. So it's a good idea to just experiment with a lot of different ones. The primordial sound meditation it wouldn't be for everybody, but it's highly effective, and it's backed by science. I have a lot of guided visualizations that I created. Some of them are on YouTube. Some of them are on my website at paulaswope.com. Those are good to experiment with. But a lot of people think meditation you have to sit a certain way or stop all your thoughts and meditate for a long time or something. And that's just all a myth. It just is. You don't have to do that. Two minutes a day. You can start with 2 minutes a day. It doesn't have to be something super sophisticated or rigid. It's what works for you.
Yeah.
And that's just the process of clearing your mind and moving forward and finding a way to move forward.
Right. And meditation has a lot of health benefits, and primordial sound meditation and other meditations as well. But primordial sound meditation has a really incredible benefit that a lot of people don't realize, because you reduce inflammation in your body, and inflammation is pretty much the root cause of nearly every disease known to man. And when you meditate, you reduce that inflammation, and therefore it doesn't accumulate and turn into some physical illness. So the benefits go way beyond what a lot of people may think.
Yeah, I don't know. I would say my form of, I guess, meditation would just be, and Russell knows this, is the cold plunge, because you really have to, you do a lot of the things that you've talked about, right? Like when you do, that water is going to be cold as hell when you get into it, right? And it's a mental game. It's a mental game to be like, I can do it for 30 seconds, and then when you've been in there for 5 minutes and stuff, it just calms everything down, and you really gives you time to just have the time that you need to process whatever else. And then when you get out of it, you're just like, I just sat in freezing cold water for 5 minutes. Like nothing else matters, right? That's just for me, right? Because it's like this whole thing. But I think when you were saying like, there's different ways. Yeah, there's different ways of meditation, right? I can't sit down and just like hum and clear my mind. I just can't do that. I can go sit in 32-degree water and clear my mind because I'm cold. So I'm focused on how cold I am. So, that kind of clears it. But then it helps me be less reactive in emotional situations, because it's just, I don't know, it does weird things. So I agree with you 100%. I love that. I live by that. My husband's one that got me into that. So I understand. And plus, we ran out of time for Russell's 48 questions, and he's giving me the stink eye because we're over time, and I'd rather take it than any of y'all because I can handle Russell. But Paula, before we let you go, tell us how everyone can check out your book, check out you. How can they learn more about it?
So the book, Thought Snob, The Modern Spiritual Playbook for a Better Life, is available on Amazon, 3 formats: audiobook, Kindle, paperback. You can go to paulaswope.com, and I have signed copies on there if you happen to want a signed copy. And so that's one of my websites. And then I have thoughtsnob.com, and that's just specifically for all of my work with Thought Snob. Paula Swope is also, my Chopra work is there, my life coaching and all of that. And then I'm everywhere on social media. I'm most active on TikTok and Instagram, but you can find me on just about every single platform. And all of my handles are on paulaswope.com. So I'm easy to find. And I also have a podcast, the Thought Snob Podcast, and it's available everywhere you get your podcast. So it's easy to find too.
Perfect. I love it. Well, everybody, we hope that you have a fantastic Monday, a great rest of your day. And until next time, everybody, bye.